Hi folks, and welcome back to the vlog on this sunny afternoon. I'd like to expand on what I talked about last week, which is approaching galleries. And this is the second stage. So you've sent your really polite email asking galleries if they'd be interested in representing you and your reasons to approach them, addressed to a particular person, hopefully. And you've done a bit of homework on that, and they've come back and they've said, yes, we'd be interested in working with you. So that's fantastic. So now, how do you proceed? Now, I hear a lot of horror stories from artists and gallery relationships. And okay, there are some people out there who, let's say, perform less than they probably could do and are less honourable than they could be. And that does give a very bad feeling within the industry about artists and galleries. And before anything else, I'll apologise on behalf of all galleries for that, because I think most of us are honourable, straightforward people. But you never know. What we need to do then, therefore, is artists need to protect themselves. Now, there are several ways you can do this. And what I would recommend is sending out a batch of questions. These questions are all in my book, The Artist Handbook, if you want to grab yourself a copy of that on Amazon or on my own website. Now, I'm going to just run through them very quickly here. So here's what I would recommend you do. You write a letter to them saying, wonderful that we want to work together, really excited by the prospect, just like to ask the following questions to get a feel for how our relationship's going to work. And these are the things that should be in it. For example, what are your payment terms? i.e., how long after a sale do I have to wait for my money? For me, I pay the following month for the previous month's bills. So even if a sale went through on the 31st of January, for example, I would pay an artist on the 1st of February. Not everybody's like me. They might pay a month later. I question whether somebody should pay 2 or 3 months later. For me, that's quite a long lead time, but that's for up to you to decide. And remember, these questions you're asking, if these answers aren't acceptable, you either have to go back and try and negotiate differently, or you have to accept them. But if you accept them, you can't complain later. Okay, so this is why it's good to get these labeled out. Second question I would ask, what are your sales reporting schedules? i.e., when will you tell me when something's being sold? So if they don't have a website that's up to date and you can't see on there that some piece has been sold, a lot of galleries don't update their website so often or don't even have PayPal buttons on them. So you don't know when a piece has been sold. So how do you know when that you're due for some money, or you can invoice for them some money, however it works out? The only way to do this is to know how often they're going to tell you that something is sold, and that's reporting. So ask them about that. Third, how often do you require a refresh? So a lot of my artists will refresh me every 3, 4, outside 5 months. Mostly it's organic in that we're selling stuff and then they just replace the stuff that's sold. So I'm lucky in that happens quite a lot with my artists. But if we get a batch of work that doesn't sell well, how long between you having this work and trying to get sales on it would you say, okay, you want to try that work with another gallery and I'll have a fresh batch of work? So that's another one. Do you have any limitations on me exhibiting elsewhere? i.e., can I be in another gallery in the same area, stroke county, stroke country? Some galleries, for example, I'm not too keen if a gallery is in my gallery and then 5 miles away in another gallery. It's too close. All it does, in my mind, is it waters down your sales between the two galleries. And what that does then is makes you less important with a gallery because you're not selling as much. So I would say in an area that's difficult like Cornwall, of course, 20 miles away is the other coast, and that can be far enough away. But if you're, for example, in a city like Oxford, they might say, well, we don't want any more galleries in Oxfordshire or within a 50-mile radius. So you need to respect that and you need to understand that. So it's important for you both. Do you have any framing requirements? Most galleries won't. I should suspect they'll take the work that they get from you framed the way it is, but you don't know, so it's worth asking. And lastly, are there any extra costs I should be aware of with regards publications, exhibitions, or other extracurricular activities? Sometimes galleries want extra if they go to the Affordable Art Fair, for example, or they do an exhibition with another partner and that's going to cost them more money. If they put out a book and want you to be in that book, and the book might cost a lot of money, these are things that might suddenly turn up out of the blue and you knew nothing about. So ask the questions. This is so important to ask these questions up front. As I say, a good gallery won't have a problem at all with you asking these questions. They would think it professional. If a gallery has a problem with you asking these questions, you've got to ask yourself, well, what kind of gallery wouldn't want to answer these questions? They're quite straightforward. Once you have sent all of these questions out to them in a form, plus any others you might think of that are relevant, just send it to them and say, could you answer these questions for me before we start our partnership, so that I'm clear about our relationship. Once they come back to you with the answers and you're happy with the answers, hopefully they will send it in an email, this is what they do, or send it in a document or a letter saying this is how we approach all of these things, in which case you have it. It's a kind of contract, it's a pledge. If they don't do that, once you have all those answers, I would highly recommend you write back to the gallery. Further to our recent chat, as I understand it, the points we discussed and agreed are, and then you list all of those things. That is my understanding of our partnership. Please let me know if I have got this incorrect. What you do then is you put the ball back into their point to come back to you and say, no, you've misunderstood this. This isn't correct. Nobody needs a contract for anything until there's a problem. When all things run smoothly, it matters not at all. And I'm not suggesting you write any particular contract with somebody. Some galleries will send you a contract. But what you're doing is you're being clear with a gallery. You're being professional. This is your business. No other business in this world was set out in partnership with another business without having some rules laid down. That's just the way they work. Now, these may be guidelines as opposed to a contract, but there's something you can come back to at some point in the future if, for example, they didn't pay you or something else comes up, and you can say, we agreed here at the beginning that this would be the payment schedule, this would be the reporting schedule. I'll go a bit more into depth on a few other bits later in the series, and I hope for now it's been helpful. Do ping me an email if you have any questions, mark@thevlog.art. Have a great week. See you again next week. Bye bye for now.